Hello everyone, I just wanted to give a channel update. If you've noticed, I haven't really uploaded any gameplay videos for several weeks, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that and sort of explain what the future of the gameplay videos are going to be moving forward. So, I haven't been uploading gameplay videos because there are some problems with my current gameplay videos. The first is that recording during tournaments is really distracting. I've been filming them during my Webcam Weekly events on the Discord, and while originally I liked the idea of having content that was of like an actual weekly, so you can see things in a sort of semi-competitive environment, the fact of the matter is that recording requires a decent amount of brain power. I have to keep track of everything, I have to make sure everything is visible, I have to check the audio levels, I have to make sure things are recording. Once in a while, I forget to do something with my machine, and my machine goes to sleep, and I have to open it back up. It's just a huge distraction, and I'm already the TO for most of the webcam tournaments that you see, which means that I'm also having to keep an eye on people calling me for judge calls and that sort of thing. So between all of that, I'm dedicating maybe 80% of my attention to actually playing the game during any given recording session, and that's just not very good. That leads to poor gameplay, poor results for me, and it's honestly just kind of frustrating when I feel like I don't get good gameplay footage and I don't do well in a tournament, because it's like, what's the point? It's also a little bit distracting for my opponents, who are trying their best to, get qualifier points so that they can get into the Discord year ends, and while everybody is usually quite happy to be recorded, it would be a lie to say that it doesn't affect them at all, and it's really not responsible for myself or for my opponents to distract them by recording during the tournament. The second problem with the gameplay is that building for content is a lot different than building for tournament grinding. I rarely play the same deck multiple weeks in a row when I'm playing for the channel, and that is because I doubt that most people want to see me play the same thing for a month or 2 months in a row. I do it sometimes, but most of the time I build different decks. And now, for a while, this did fit my personality. I like building different decks. I like playing different decks. I rarely stick on the same deck. But if I'm being completely honest with myself and I want to get, qualifying points to go to the Discord year end, I should be playing decks that are really good into the metagame. I shouldn't be trying to experiment and make new decks and hope that they do well enough. And so, when I'm building for content, I spend a lot of time thinking, is this something different than what I've already done? Or is this illustrating some new principle that I want to share with everybody? Is this deck going to be interesting to watch? Is also something that sometimes comes up. And that's very different from what will win me the most games of Magic. And so the stress of having to build a new deck basically every week on top of recording for the tournaments is just not really where I want to be. It was not healthy for me. I was pretty frustrated with where I was. And then sort of the last problem with the current gameplay is that I do really minimal editing. And that means that I think my content is kind of low quality. I appreciate everybody that sticks around and watches it and enjoys the content, but if I'm going to be honest, it's extremely small, it's extremely minimal content. I basically cut out shuffling at the start of the games. I take the raw Discord screen capture and I overlay some images on it, and that's about it. I don't really do a whole lot, and that means that it's very easy for me to edit very quickly, which is useful especially when I'm busy with school and stuff, but I think it's a disservice to the quality of content that I want to actually release to you guys. So for these 3 reasons, I'm kind of shelving the current gameplay content. Now, with that being said, I do want to bring the gameplay content back, so let's talk about the goals for the new gameplay content. The first goal is that they should be standalone recordings where there are no time limits and there's no pressure. People should be able to think as long as they need to. There's no time pressure. When you're playing in a tournament, you have 50 minutes to play that round with 5 extra turns. If we're playing for fun, we can play for an hour and a half. We can play control mirrors. We can play whatever. If the game takes 2 hours and I have to edit it down, It takes 2 hours. But you can't do that in a tournament setting. So I want the games to be standalone so that there are no time limits. There's also nothing on the line. People are not playing to earn qualifying points, so while they maybe are not going to play necessarily as tightly as they would be if they're playing for a tournament setting, it also means that there's no extra pressure to perform. I want people to feel comfortable while they're recording. I don't want people to feel like they have to perform well for a video and for a tournament. And then, because it's casual, you can do things like get extra information, like starting hands. We could include banter. We can, have a more casual environment. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be play this thing, okay, pass, play this thing, pass, play this thing, pass. And there's no banter because we need to get through the game in a certain amount of time. We can chat, we can do whatever. And whether or not I include that is something that's I'm not sure about yet, but we can do all that and it makes it for a much better environment. And I want that kind of environment for my gameplay content. The second thing is that I want to be able to play decks for fun or to showcase the format, not necessarily to win. There are a lot of decks in this format. Like, this format is so good for brewing. But if you are trying to win tournaments, there's a much narrower range of things that you can brew. And it'd be nice to play some more experimental builds or even take requests from you guys in the comments. Like, I saw somebody wanted me to play like an Agatha Soul Cauldron deck, and I probably wouldn't bring that to a Discord weekly because I don't think that I'm good enough with the deck or that the deck is positioned well in the Discord metagame to play it for a weekly, but I'd be happy to build that and play it for a standalone video. So that would be a cool thing to do. The sort of last thing I want for the new gameplay content is a little bit more of a heavy editing style for a better viewing experience. I want a new layout. I don't want to just take the raw Discord input and just give it back to you guys. I want to add life totals. I want to add a card reader because card readers are so nice for being able to understand what's going on. It's basically impossible to actually read cards over webcam, so a card reader is like a huge quality of life improvement, and I really want to include that. I also want to do some audio adjustments. Currently, because I am playing in a tournament, I don't have time to fiddle with all the audio settings, and so my audio might be a lot lower than my opponent's audio. My opponent's audio might get have a lot of peaks and be very harsh, and I can fix all that if I do post-processing. And I don't currently do much post-processing, so I want to fix that. And then maybe have some background music because, let's be honest, watching people play Magic is pretty boring. There's a lot of downtime, and so having something to fill silence is really good. And then, I'm not sure yet, but I might experiment with cutting out some dead time to make games flow better. Again, with that downtime, like there are a lot of times where people are spending time tutoring or they're spending time thinking about their plays, and you can have like 2, 3, 4 minutes of silence. That's just not a great viewing experience. It'd be good to be able to cut that out, make the games flow a little bit better. If you guys have other channels that you'd like to watch and other editing styles, please let me know, because then I can go watch them and get some ideas and maybe think about how I want to incorporate that into my own style. For example, I really like Play to Win as an example, but their style is extremely heavily edited. They take like a 2-hour game and cut it down to 20 minutes or whatever, and they have a lot of jumping in with outside commentary, which I may or may not want. But if you guys have different options like Play to Win, Playing with Power, Card Market, whatever. If you guys have different layouts or styles that you like, whatever it is, feel free to leave them in a comment below, because that'll give me more inspiration and better ideas of what you guys are looking for. So let's talk about the timeline for the content. Gameplay content, maybe in August. We're about halfway through July right now. Gameplay content is going to be on a hiatus for a while. I am learning how to use DaVinci Resolve, which is a much stronger and more powerful. It's a much more powerful and comprehensive video editing program. It's also a lot of stuff to learn, so I'm still learning how to use all that. And I also need to experiment to find a content format that I'm satisfied with. So I'm going to say August at the absolute earliest, but I'm going to be honest, the gameplay content might not be coming back by August. It might be September, if we get there. I want to make sure that I get something that's good and that I'm proud of and that I can show you guys that you guys will really like. and so I want to do it right. I don't want to put something out that's like half done. Theory content. I'm still aiming to do theory content one time a month. I've been a little lax on it because I'll be honest, brainstorming theory ideas is hard, and doing theory content takes a while. All of my theory videos usually take me 40 plus hours to work on because I have to think about them. I have to think about a script. I have to create visuals. It's a lot of work, but I do like doing it. And I have a new one that's planned to be soon. Maybe it'll show up by the end, within this month. Hopefully it'll show up within July. I'm also looking to use my new editing skills to move on from Google Slides. You'll notice this one is in Google Slides. All my other stuff is in Google Slides, to voiceovers and animated cards, because I think that will look a little bit more professional. And as always, any sort of feedback or suggestions are welcome. I'm just trying to make my content better so that I'm proud of what I'm putting out and that it helps everybody who's out there. If also for theory content, if you guys have ideas for topics you want me to cover, feel free to leave them in comments, and I can at least think about them and maybe put them into a backlog. I'm not promising that I can cover every single topic, but I'm definitely open to suggestions. And then as far as website content, people who are watching this might be saying, website content, what does that mean? I started writing articles for the Canadian Highlander website. The official Canlander website has articles, and I recently put out one maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago on 1-point cards, and I put it on the Canadian Highlander website, and the goal is to put more broad format level content for newcomers on the Canadian Highlander website. So you'll notice I don't really talk about things like points very much, point philosophy very much here on the channel, and that's because it's a very deep and complex topic, but also I don't know that video form is the best for that sort of format, and there's some things that are better for a written format, and so I'm starting to do things on the website, and I'm going to be moving stuff like that there. Like currently I have that point article. I'm thinking about an article about combo breakdowns, like what each combo uses, where are the vulnerabilities, where can you interact, that sort of thing. And I think that stuff is better for the Canadian Highlander website than it is for a video. So I'm planning to do some more website content. I don't know yet. I'm still new at that. Maybe it'll be one time a month. Maybe it'll be every other month. Who knows what's going to happen when school starts up. But that's kind of where that is. So I basically have 3 types of content. Gameplay, it's going to be on hiatus for a while. Theory, I'm going to try and do 1 video a month. And then the website content, maybe one a month, once every other month. But that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to give an update so that people knew what was going on, because I've been sort of radio silent on YouTube for a while. And yeah, thank you guys for sticking around. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I appreciate all the support and, again, any suggestions for how to improve what I'm doing. And I hope you guys understand why I'm putting the gameplay content on hiatus for a while. And hopefully I'll be able to see you guys again, hopefully in August, and maybe at worst September. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time.